Kia ora, a wet looking week for us across the North Island. You can see on these charts as we head through the rest of the afternoon, low pressure up there in the top left-hand corner of the screen. It runs towards us and it brings some heavy rainfall. Places like Northland, Auckland, the Coromandel as we head through Monday afternoon and in towards Tuesday. And as we head through the rest of the time, that rain will feed down across the rest of the North Island through the night time and in towards Tuesday. You can see down south we've got the remains of these fronts just clearing away those far southern parts of New Zealand, but generally a fair bit more cloud, particularly around those eastern parts of the South Island. Through the night time, this rain continues to feed in, perhaps one or two heavy thundery falls around those eastern parts of, say, Great Barrier Island, the Coromandel, feeding in towards the Bay of Plenty. And these onshore winds will push that wet weather in towards Wairarapa, Hawke's Bay, up towards Tairāwhiti, and we have got a series of severe weather watches through there. While down the South Island, yes, we'll find some wetter weather through northern Canterbury and up in towards Marlborough, but down that western coast, it's the place to be this week. Looking like plenty of dry weather through there. More cloud, though, still feeding through in towards Otago. In terms of our temperatures, we'll notice a real distinct difference between the far south, where we get those clearer skies, but hopefully you should just about stay above freezing, places like Invercargill, 1 degree Celsius. Compare that to 14, our minimum temperature through Northland. That warm, moist air being dragged in from the north and wrapping around us as we head through the night time. But for the North Island, the main story will be that wet weather, with that rain pushing through in towards Hawke's Bay, in towards Tairāwhiti, and you can see it's spreading across most of the island. It's more showery up towards the north, so a bit more in the way of breaks between them, and some clearer skies around those more eastern-facing coasts of Northland. But I think we are going to find a fairly unsettled-looking story across the North Island, that rain reaching down towards the top of the south as well. But check out that clear sky down south. Places like Milford Sound could be the place to be this week, with some clearer skies and some drier weather. Still on the cooler side, but generally better weather the further south you go. Unsurprisingly, with some fairly grotty weather in store, we have got some severe weather watches and warnings across those northern parts of New Zealand as we go through the night time tonight. So Monday into Tuesday, and around this eastern coast Tuesday into Wednesday. And we've got some more wet weather perhaps Thursday and Friday for places like Hawke's Bay. So do keep an eye on the forecast. Head along to our severe weather show and the Met Service website for all the latest information on those. But for the North Island, it is going to be a fairly wet looking start day. Some heavier falls, perhaps some rumbles of thunder around the Coromandel, the Bay of Plenty to start the day. And this rain then pushes through in towards Tairāwhiti, Hawke's Bay, and then down in towards Wairarapa. You can see that low pressure, that circulation of winds, still keeping a fair number of showers running up towards the north, but perhaps a bit of a better, brighter end to the day there than we'll see elsewhere. But with that onshore feed of air, we'll keep hold of a fair covering of cloud across the North Island and some of that heavier rainfall, particularly for Hawke's Bay, particularly those areas south about State Highway 5 and down in towards Wellington and Wairarapa. In terms of our temperatures, it's fairly academic. I think we're going to have a fairly warm looking story with all that warmth and moisture being dragged in from the subtropics. Highs of around about 19 and 20 up in the far north. The best of the temperatures perhaps in the place like Whangarei, where you get the best of the sunshine as well, 20 degrees Celsius there. While we keep hold of a bit of a cloudier skies elsewhere, not great, but I think also nothing cold at all as we head through the night time. Heading down towards the South Island, we start to find some brighter weather. You can see we're going to keep hold of more cloud being pushed in on towards that eastern coast, bringing with it some wetter weather across Canterbury and up in towards Marlborough, and some of that will spill across in towards Nelson and Buller as well. But by the time you head down towards Hokitika and down towards Milford Sound, it's a great looking day for you. Fine, dry, sunny, nice clear skies, and even that cloud down through Otago and Southland breaking up as we head through the daytime. But you can see with that more of an onshore feed of air, we'll keep hold of that wet weather and showery weather pushing through in towards Canterbury through the daytime. In terms of our temperatures, well, I think we'll find a bit of a cool story, places like places like Mount Cook, 6 degrees Celsius there, and I think a fairly cool night coming across. But you see these temperatures generally above freezing thanks to that layer of cloud. But the warmest spot, that western coast, doing pretty well with highs back to around about 16 degrees Celsius in Hokitika and Greymouth, a great looking story for you as we head through the next couple of days. It is worth saying though, as we head in towards Wednesday and Thursday, this low pressure has moved across to the eastern side, which means those winds wrap around and give a good onshore feed of air. So pushing that wet weather back in towards Wairarapa, Hawke's Bay, Tairāwhiti, and that will continue to bring some heavy falls. So it's worth keeping an eye on those severe weather watches and warnings, running through to about 6 p.m. on Wednesday at the moment, but you can see that rain is set to continue to feed back through there. Some brighter, drier weather across those western parts of the North Island. Still a few showers and cloud to watch out for, but the main emphasis of the weather as we head through Wednesday and even through towards Thursday will be on this western coast, with more wet weather still to be pushing through there. So do keep a close eye on the forecast, and particularly those severe weather watches and warnings across that eastern side of the North Island. Down on the South Island, things are looking much more settled for you over the next few days. That's it from me. There's more at metservice.com.